Oh, hey kiddos. Looks like you did the right thing and found your dad's anime stash. But this stash feels a little different. Is it the weight or the way it looks? Can I have everyone roll for perception?
Oh,
That's a 10.
17.
16.
17 twinsies.
Oh, wow.
Anyone who got above a 15, you realize that this isn't your dad's anime stash. Through all the cobwebs and dust, this is your dad's D&D stash.
Woo!
There you go.
So we're going to do something a little bit different. We're planning out a D&D campaign specifically for Dad's anime stash. And because I've never been a DM and have very minimal experience in this Dungeons and Dragons realm, I've brought along some friends with me. Of course, we have Mark the Bushido Geek with his new headband.
Yep.
We have Ash, they, them.
Woo!
You got Connor, hey, they.
Yeah.
And of course, Brooke, he, him.
Yeehaw. I'm gonna join the club.
Bring out the headband.
Bring out the headband.
There you go.
Get our Red Dirt D&D and Bushido Geek, man. That's
Now you're the
awesome.
ones who stand out different. Take that, society.
Now I've got to go on Amazon, man. I'm off to get it to you.
I've already been looking at what I want to grab.
Don't make
next.
me get the DM hat. It's right over there on my Umbreon. I'll go
right over there.
right over here.
Prepared. So,
Get it.
Mark,
do
for
it.
this, I figured I'd let you take
Yeah.
over because I'm going to try to share this link out everywhere. And I
Yeah.
feel like you could do a little bit better job at organizing it all.
Yeah. So if you're listening to this and you have no idea what we're talking about, we're gonna essentially do a mini version of a session 0 in D&D, which is essentially kind of like creating the basis for the world that you want to play in, basic rules, kind of how stuff's going to go, formatted, etc. And we're all going to do it together. Obviously, we can't do it. If you know D&D, you obviously know that in an hour we can't accomplish the entirety of what we're trying to do. But we can get a good base start, and then we'll just do a part 2. And then the plan is where eventually, once this is fleshed out, I will DM this as a one-shot with whoever we end up getting for it. But eventually I'll DM a one-shot for it. So essentially how we're going to start is we want to like start off with how we think the world should go in terms of, obviously it's a one-shot, so we have to keep it somewhat within things that can be done within a 3 to 5 hour time period. So I know Justin kind of shared the basic background where we're trying to do like different anime worlds and kind of like different powers from every world, kind of like as you go from one world to the other, you're kind of gaining access to the different powers or items from that kind of world. So for a one shot, how do you think we should limit it in terms of like how many the players could or should go to?
Oh, honey. Okay, so here's my first question. How many hours you want this one shot to be?
We'll probably have to, just because of how much we'll have to like adjust when we actually start, because we can't start it when we normally record. 3 to 5 is probably gonna be the max of what the three of us can do.
So here's my first DM tip for you. So in the D&D world, we have what we refer to as encounters. And an encounter can basically think of it like a set piece, okay? Because you have combat encounters, you have social encounters when it's, you're talking with the NPCs and all that, getting that stuff out of the way. And your exploration encounters where you're checking something out. So you've hit the castle for the first time and you're looking at the castle, checking it all out, seeing what's going on. Roughly, for every hour of play, you can expect your players to get through about one encounter.
Okay.
So
Yeah, that's pretty typical.
yeah, so depending on how you want to do your set pieces, you'd basically, if you're wanting to hit 2 or 3 different worlds, then you need to plan for how many encounters do I want to have in this world before we move on to the next one.
Yeah. So in a good like rule of thumb when you're planning one shots is you do want role play involved. So like you can limit encounters and then just replace it with like an advanced role play with like just different roles, or like a trap room where that's your encounter, not necessarily a pure combat, but you can just do like a trap room or yeah. Like mazes is always a pretty good one because you can kind of roll multiple things into one, which is pretty good. But also another thing to be aware of is like the more people you add in that haven't played, which I think our plan is to have at least one person that is just an anime fan that's never played D&D.
That's awesome.
So you got to account for the fact that they're not going to know like what they're doing at all. So on those ones, you want to like throw a super quick, easy combat at the beginning. To getting someone into D&D, the easiest way I've found is to throw easy combat to be the first thing that they do for session 1, just because you have to do so many rolls and you get to watch everyone else like do spells or powers and like different things like that, or like try to like bluff their way out of the fight or whatever it might be. Like, so it's the easiest way to get someone new ingrained in a world, is super easy, quick combat.
I think another thing to consider is what you're actually wanting to do to flesh out these worlds, and consider how long that's going to take and how to make them differ from each other so it's not all the same. Because you can choose like 3 different animes to go through, but if they're all basically like action animes, they're gonna kind of be the same. It's just how you're able to differentiate them from one another, that they're actually going to be able to stand out from each other. And sometimes that does take a lot more time than 3 to 5 hours.
Right. Yeah. I ideally what I would like to do, just for purposes of like making it entertaining, is have like initially kind of the beginning be more story-ish driven. So you're kind of like getting, as people are tuning in to watch, you're getting people kind of like invested in the first world that the players are at, and then we can kind of like flesh out like beginning items and stuff like that, and kind of like start planting the seeds of like where they could go next. Because that's always the tricky thing with one shots too, is you don't want to railroad them into being like, follow this exact path to go to these 3 worlds, because that's all we have time for. But at the same time, you do kind of have to railroad it, because it's like I only have limited time.
One shots are
yeah,
railroad central.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
You want to go a whole bunch of different places and have a whole bunch of different things going on. Campaign, baby. Campaign.
Yeah, that's why like it's, and what we're talking about for those of you that like are generally listening and are just very confused, is normally in a campaign, let's say you have like north, east, and west plotted out, and your party's like, nope, southwest, and like the complete opposite direction, which happens every single time. You very quickly just start like replacing things and you figure it out. In a one shot, if they're like, we want to go left, you're like, a meteor falls from the sky and there's now a giant crater in the ground. So that path is just, you can't do it. It's everyone's dead, everyone's screaming, they're telling you to go away. You just go the other direction. And that's what railroading means.
The super secret and devious DM trick is that there are 2 doors, but it's 1 room.
Yeah.
So, which way you guys want to go?
There is no door number 2.
Yeah. So
we like to tell you have multiple options.
Choice.
But
you give them the illusion of choice.
It's the illusion of choice.
if they're just herding cats, right? Then But sometimes you can build great stuff when the players throw things into the mix that you didn't expect. I love it when new players, do something crazy. I mean, like and
that's the thing. I like in one shots, like you want to encourage people thinking outside the box, because it's a one shot. It's designed to be a quick thing. You want to give people the chance to just do crazy things, use their spells in different ways, come up with weird, crazy concepts to get out of stuff. Like just. And again, and that's what helps is you, like for Justin, like you help plan for it. Like always create in a one shot, create a backup for everything, because there's a chance they will get around a combat that you plan for them to do, like to be like, all right, this will take 45 minutes and we can move on to this, and they'll figure out some really complicated way, and the rolls just go their way, and now they've bypassed your combat, and you're just like, oh dear God, I just lost 45 minutes. So like we want to plan for backups. Like if they avoid this, what other things could be like put into place? And just an example, I was doing a one shot, and I had one of their combats designed to be like in a dungeon, and they were going to get attacked on like 3 different sides by slimes, like giant slimes, and they would like they had kind of like essentially it was pick one, kill it. They're very slow and dumb. Just kill one and move on. So they killed one, and I cornered them, and I was like, oh, this will be a good fight. And then one of them threw up a minor illusion wall, and I'm like, I guess I got to roll like to see if it somehow because they're dumb. They have an intelligence of like 2. So I roll for both of them, and they both lower than a 5, and they have like a -2 intelligence. And so I was like, all right, yeah, they suddenly think a wall appeared out of nowhere, and now they're going back the other way. So congratulations, you've avoided the combat. And like
I fooled the dungeon Roombas.
Yeah. And like I'm just like I had something prepared if they somehow bypass this quickly, but like if I didn't, like there goes 30 40 minutes of content. So like while we're doing this, like we want to plan for the fact that they will find ways to bypass things we had planned, whether it's combat, storyline, or something else. They will find a way to bypass something.
Mm-hmm.
That's never happened on Red Dirt D&D. We've never done that to Ash.
No, yeah.
I don't actually pull out the tone.
Like episode 2.
Never.
No. Yeah. I've never been in parties where we've one shot at the big bad boss, thinking it was like the easiest encounter. Like, oh, cool, this is the warm up, right? And then watch our DM just
Demogorgon dead.
Oops.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah. So ideally, for a first world, we'd probably want to go with an anime that's more like a longer anime that's more story driven than action, and so probably lead into more action. So something that's still some action maybe if you wanted to throw a quick combat in there. But I think story driven is probably the first way we'd want to start.
So what about Digimon as a starter? Because I know we wanted to stick to like 90s animation.
Yeah, we definitely wanted to stick to 90s because that's what we grew up on.
So I thought maybe Digimon or Big O, I feel like would be too massive starting right out the gate.
Yeah, it'd be too confusing. Like
then you run into the problem of crap, we need rules for mecha.
Yeah, I think generally like this is coming from the guy. Yeah,
Starfinder, and it's just all downhill from there.
It's not D&D anymore.
Yeah, like this is coming from the guy that has a G Gundam tattoo over his heart. We probably want to avoid mecha because
no, man, no. There's a great game out there. It's called Cthulhu Tech.
I've heard of Cthulhu Tech.
It'll give you exactly what you want. You want to play a kaiju? Let's go play Cthulhu Tech.
Yeah.
You say it that way. I mean,
Being a kaiju or a mecha.
Yeah, it's we got to think of it like mecha, if we do it a certain way, it could be good, but generally, I think mecha is just so hard to do in a shorter time frame.
You bet. And the other thing, like, as a DM, kind of that choice thing of doors is, come up with 2 or 3 if you want it to be story focused at first. Come up with 2 or 3, and then ask the players, because if they get super excited about one of those choices, that's the one you go with, because they're going to bring that excitement with them, full bore. And so that's a great thing to do too, as far as like kind of that session 0 building of things is what you guys, here's 3 ideas I had. Which one of these do you like the best?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely that's definitely a good idea.
Yeah, and then also for like your actual session 0, for your players, be sure to set down like the expectations that you're looking for them. I don't know if you guys are just like video streaming this or just doing like a pure podcast. But like with Red Dirt, we know going in that we have to be more descriptive in the actions that our characters are doing, because nobody's going to see if we're waving our hand around unless we say it. And then also, if you guys have a specific time crunch, just really kind of emphasize you guys can have fun and have as much fun as you want, but we too kind of need to move the story along.
Yeah. My plan is to try to like do very basic Roll20, just because I can really easily share the screen from here.
Yeah.
And just move people's characters for them.
But
that way it's not like confusing with everyone trying to get onto Roll20 and be like,
yeah.
it's
but like really going in, make sure everybody is on the same page that you are. So that way you're not like getting too derailed at a specific certain situation.
Which pretty much means, Justin, that like before the session we have to do
Justin
a pre-session.
Yeah.
Like a day or two.
Justin needs rules, is what he's saying.
Yeah, we have to get up with everybody like a day or two before we go live and be like, all right, here's the world roughly. You'll find out more in 2 days. Here's our time frame. It is a hard stop. So same thing what Connor just said, like have fun and go crazy, but if you get too sidetracked on one thing, I will just force the story forward.
You get one goofball card.
Yeah.
Be careful when you play it. And once you've laid your goofball card, then you need to help the story move along.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, depending on what level, if they're getting too derailed, don't be afraid to throw a fireball at them to get them.
Yeah. All right, you're all down to 10 HP. Fireball. Are we settled down now?
True story. True story.
Yes. Okay. So let's try to think of what. Okay. So I think Digimon's a good choice. I think we all agreed from our past recording that we all enjoyed it better than Pokemon, and we felt it never got the proper love. So I think Digimon's a good start.
Yeah, if we stick with first evolutions, we're
you have
anything above that, because the children aren't there anymore to evolve them, or did you evolve them, right?
I think but I think either that or you just keep them on the second one where they're like the middle sized ones, where they're like Greymon 2 or 3, right?
Okay,
like you keep them at that base evolution, and that's it. They can't digi-evolve, and they can't go down like devolve. Like it's just you keep them at one level. The players interact with them like in some way, whether it's a quick combat or something like that, and then like that's it. And then they leave and get teleported, and then like the idea is that they can carry some items over to the other worlds, but like not individual things to make it a little bit complicated. So like if they get Digimon in World 1, when they go to the next one, they don't take the Digimon with them, because that'll just would add way too much.
Right.
Right.
So we would need to give them something like from World 1 to take to World 2, and we could just literally give them a basic item.
Yeah.
From the world that carries over.
Here's my thought. This is because we talked about essentially how it will start is someone grabs the wrong stash, whether it be kids or us as adults. And when they grab the wrong stash, they're teleported to basically the hyperbolic time chamber in Dragon Ball Z. And there's someone there that explains to them what's going on. There's all this bad stuff. Your favorite anime characters are getting turned to the dark side. Kingdom Hearts, all your Mickey Mouse, and they're all getting turned bad. And then you have to go defeat this bad guy so you can get him back to the anime that you once loved and enjoyed. That was my idea. And after every time they defeat the big bad guy, they go back to this time chamber. And this is where I mentioned the wheel, so we can keep our wheel thing going that we have on here, is you spin this big old wheel, 1 through 100 or 1 through 20, whatever item it lands on is what you get. But keep the items anime based. The Zenzu beans, the kunai knives, the straw hats, stuff like that.
See, my idea that I was going to kind of throw out for you to help kind of tie your little storyline together, right? You need an anthem, okay? You need the big bad that's the one secretly behind everything.
Oh yeah,
right.
Dun,
right?
dun, dun.
So my idea was for you when I was kind of listening to your voice notes. You could almost kind of play it off, because that was the problem in the 90s, right? That in the West, we didn't quite know what anime was yet.
Right.
So you get the censor, the Sen sorcerer.
Okay.
And, basically you can play with the idea of, this censor is doing these things to your favorite anime characters and completely warping them from what they're supposed to be.
Same 4chan.
Yeah.
What about?
Secretly, it was the dad all along who found out that he took his anime.
That's what I was thinking. What if we put them as cloaked figures? Kingdom Hearts, the bad guys were always in cloaks till the end. Big unveil at the end. Boom! It's been us dads that ruin anime the whole time.
You get the
Here's
censor,
one
and then you
better.
get standards and practices,
This
right?
is like Quantum Leap and the Lego movie with Business Dad or whoever comes down the stairs, right? Like, I love this. I love this idea.
So what if, to keep to our brand, the thing that turns them bad, these bad guys are doing something to them. We could say it's a spell. There could be a ring of darkness, whatever. What if it's a mustache? We keep true to our
Mustache of
name
darkness.
as play on words. The mustache. They put a mustache on like Greymon, and he turns into a bad guy. That's hilarious.
In D&D, that's a helm of alignment shift, right? But now it's a mustache. I love it. This is great. This is great.
It practically writes itself, right?
Yeah.
That's smart. That's good. That's good.
Start.
Okay, so
I always say
now.
start with your villain. Okay, like don't start with your villain, because as soon as you understand your villain and like really get them down, like what do they want? What's the goal? What's our endpoint here? Then everything else just comes by itself.
Yeah.
I mean, essentially, as the DM, you are the villain. The players are.
Yeah. Again, there's no downside if you TPK your party in the one shot. You're like, all right, sweet,
You won.
crushed it.
I mean, I guess that is one way the DM wins, quote unquote. I don't know.
And it's like the DM does a lot of other stuff, but the main thing that they need to consider is that they are also the villain. They are also trying to work counteractive to the players. And so when you have like an actual like villain character, that's when you really kind of get to shine and work more into thinking about like what their motivations are, why they're doing this, and just all that kind of stuff. So that way you actually have a deeper understanding of where your story is going to go because your villains are setting it into place.
Yeah. You almost want, like, again, you can still do like a twist like we're talking about, but you almost want like the big bad guy to like literally reveal his entire plan within the first 30 minutes.
Sure.
You gotta write the monologue, dude.
Yeah.
Write the monologue early.
And it's even, I don't know, maybe, other folks will have maybe a different permission, but in a one shot, especially something that is for broadcast, you could almost have like a cut scene in which the villain is like, wah, ha, 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 and now, and then the story starts. So the audience knows, right?
Right.
But the players, know, but
they meta know, but
they
But
meta
it's
know.
the whole thing about how, if your players can get a sense where you're going and where you want them to end up in order for things to make sense, they're going to be happy going there.
Yeah.
Like, they're not going to be angry. It helps them have a greater sense of goal as to, what's the reason? Why are we doing this? So give them a good, strong reason to want to go on the adventure.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, like every anime will become Welcome to Jaburai Park if you don't do this, and that alone should be more than enough motivation.
How bad do the Disney lawyers come after you if Jar Jar shows up? Like he's
That's episode 1 right there.
As long as it follows
And
under
done.
parody laws, you should be fine. Speaking
Jar
of,
Jar with the
also look into
mustache
parody
makes me laugh.
laws.
Exactly. You just put the mustache on Jar Jar, and then it's like, hey guys, it's different. It's different stuff. All right.
It's Marjorie.
You teased
Mustache
him going
Mark.
Sith. We just made him Sith.
Connor, you said something smart. What was that about parody laws?
Yeah, I'm not a lawyer. That's not one of the things that I have like accumulated in my limited education career. But look into parody laws because you are using like a lot of IPs to like bring it into your anime. You should be fine, or into your story, but you should be fine with just like a one shot. But kind of do a standard little under the guidelines of parody laws. This is considered for use.
Yeah.
So.
All of a sudden, I'm getting intense flashbacks to 90s.
Essentially,
90s and early
essentially,
Austin
yeah.
fiction.
Essentially, Justin,
exactly.
we can say like this takes place like essentially you can literally just say like this takes place in a world that's like Digimon, and then literally say whatever you want.
Just put that little disclaimer at the front of the episode, and we're golden.
Yeah.
You just have to make sure, you just state very quickly.
I do not own these characters.
Yeah.
They're products of so-and-so.
The classic, this might sound like something you know, but in no way is it related to it.
Yeah.
This is Stashimon, is what this is.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Stashmon evolves into, Goateemon.
See, we can get away with it because we have something, in the D&D world, we have what's known as the open gaming license and the system reference document, where we have been given permission to wholesale, use things and go with things and drop certain names like Count Strad von Zarovich. We're allowed to name drop.
He's my favorite dentist right there.
Oh yeah, he's great.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's one of those things where we can get away with it a little more, but there's certain
and again,
certain lines you're gonna want to walk, because that was kind of one of my other thoughts was like, go in and again, get the tropes of the particular show that you're wanting to do. And if you get the tropes and throw in enough of those, people will pick up what you're putting down.
Yeah, okay. It's very you can very easily toe the line of everyone knows exactly what you're talking about. You just never said the word.
Okay.
You paint the picture with, so essentially, like, if I since I'm DMing it, like, I paint the picture with words, I just don't actually say the word.
Yeah.
Okay. That'd probably be the hardest part for me, is because I want to tell you his name. I want to tell you what world we're in or where we're going.
And again, since we're doing it in the way that we're doing it, essentially since we're not saying like, oh, you're in this place or this place, you're essentially just trying to paint the picture of like where everything is starting and how everyone met up. Like, it's always good sometimes to try to give them like some sort of like, do you guys have an idea for why you're together, or do you want me to just shoehorn it in? So like, give them the option when we meet up with everyone a few days before, like, if you guys can come up with something that makes sense, I'll put it in. But if you can't by the time this is done, I'm just going to shoehorn something together.
Everybody shows up at the rail office.
Yeah, like there's always the classic, you meet at a bar and you just happen to go together. Or I mean, like, sometimes people can get creative with it, but like, when in doubt, a lot of team players will just be like, we're all in the bar, and a bar like the bar fight is the classic way of getting a group together.
I still want to run the campaign where it starts out, you're 5 drunk girls meeting up in the bar bathroom. That's the fastest way D&D party would ever form is,
You come to from blacking out, holding this person's hairs. They puke into a toilet. What do you do?
You've written the opening scene right there. That's it. What are you gonna do? Does she look friendly? Yeah, it's okay. No, she looks
she's
terrible.
Just really going into that toilet. Like, roll a medicine check to see how well you're holding all the hair out of the puke, or if you just completely fail it.
Ding ding.
Nat 1, you just drop her into the toilet.
And then you'll have some players who they with another player want to like, hey, can our characters be related, or can we know each other beforehand? And that's a great thing too. So in this bathroom scene, the character A and character B are helping each other, and then character C walks in and says, "Oh my gosh, Julie, that's where you went," and now that's you can blend those together, and the party is formed. So.
Yeah, and again, with the way we're doing it, we can even do something as like interesting as like, you're all hanging out at like we can literally start it as like they're starting in the real world, and they're all hanging out in their friend's basement watching anime, and they flip to a channel, and all of a sudden the next thing they know, they're in the first world, where the monologue then like is taking place like in the background, essentially, like what Brooke was saying. Like, you can transition from one to the other, because we have that creative freedom right now.
Chris Sabat's opening narration last time on Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, essentially, yeah. Like, as they're getting sucked in through the TV into the world, they're hearing this narration going on, which is placing them with like what is essentially going on in this first place they're going to, what's happening, why the people like in the game are trying to stop this bad thing from happening, and then all of a sudden they just show up, and it's like they're arriving with a narrative and a goal, and you get the hilarity of them being like, "Where the hell were we? I thought we were like, in somewhere else."
Yeah, it's just super cool.
Yeah.
So we got anime, Quantum Leap, the Lego thing with Professor Dad or Business Dad,
a little bit of Captain In.
Yeah, a little bit of
Captain In, just
a little pinch.
Just that little salt pinch. What was that? What's
that
that meme chef guy who would always like?
You gotta get the elbow, man.
And now you're sucked into the world via Jumanji. Right?
Essentially,
like
yeah.
Ooh,
or they're playing Jumanji.
They're just playing. Yeah. Or they're just playing anime Jumanji.
Yeah, you're sitting there,
kids on a roller coaster. So
yeah.
Mark, that intro song I sent you. It's gonna be before this episode, but do those war drums sound like Jumanji, like the very opening? That's perfect.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is the sound of DMs crafting something evil right now.
It really is. Yeah, there's always the classic like DM phrases like "You sure about that?" or "Is that really like? Is that really what you want to do right now?"
Is that your final answer?
Like anytime the DM repeats what you just said.
So
you're probably about to do something really dumb. And I've DM'd and been a player for so long, but I still make that mistake when I'm not DMing, where the DM will be like, "Are you sure about that?" I'm like, "Yeah, go for it." And then I'm like, "Wait,
roll them.
This is gonna go so bad."
More fun to go for it.
It really is. That's why
first object.
No, it is. That's why in a session that in one of the campaigns I'm in right now, we were in a potion shop, and I didn't have enough money for any potions because I'm a fighter paladin multi-class, so I don't really need healing potions. So I was like, "What's in that pot back there?" And he was like, "Oh, it's just reject random things that I threw in a pot." And I was like, "I'll take 3, put it in a thing." So our DM created 3 different potions, and he's like, "1 is amazing and you're gonna love it. 1 could potentially kill you if you use it at the wrong time." So now I'm just waiting for perfect moments of my character just finished his main arc quest, and I didn't use it because I was like, if it ruins the main arc quest, me as a player would be like crap. But now that I'm done with that, I don't really care. So the next fight we're in, I'm just gonna charge in and chug one, and I'm just gonna see what happens.
Balls face first.
Sometimes that's what you gotta do.
So it's fun to introduce little things like that too, even in one shots. Give them things that can blow up in their face. Tell them that. Give them you don't flat out tell them, you kind of say,
the big red button that says "Do not push" will immediately be pushed.
Yeah,
and if
exactly.
You really want some extra shenanigans in there, the wild magic table is perfect.
It really is. My favorite one that I want to see happen is where they turn into a potted plant.
Yes.
I've had that happen.
Just to
on a
do
stream.
really messed up things. And then they turn back into a normal person, but still have all the memories of what just happened to them as a potted plant.
I had one time where the sorcerer, they weren't even a wild magic sorcerer, they were a draconic sorcerer, which was what made them mad. But they rolled that they got turned into a sheep.
Yeah.
So they were turned into a sheep, and they were fighting goblins. So the goblin just picks up the sheep and starts running off with it, yelling "dinner."
Then you'll know if you're in a party of friends or not. Do they chase after the stolen sheep?
Do they go after the goblin stealing the sheep? Who knows?
Who knows?
Yeah.
And then as the DM, you're like, well, okay, that went sideways. I guess this goblin's gonna take him to the place that I need him to go, right?
And that's how you do that. It's all connected.
All
Yeah.
thrown together.
Something else I thought about minions, because Are we just going to have one big bad guy, or is he going to have minions? And if
You have to do.
Everybody's friend.
Yeah, you need minions, but again, for what we're doing, they need to be kind of funny.
Well, that's where I don't know if anyone else listens to Dungeons and Daddies, but they had a sentient mustache, and I thought that would be hilarious. Or just Kingdom Hearts shadow creatures with like weird goatees on them.
I don't think I've gotten that far, but yeah. You can do that.
There's some. I'm probably crossing my gaming systems, but there is some weird mutation where like you get, kind of like the second head or like the talking ulcer or something like that. That's what that makes me think of. That could be absolutely. I mean, that could be brilliant. Like
mustachioed kobolds everywhere,
right? Like little gremlins with mustaches makes me laugh every time. I don't know what it is about a mustache or like wigs. Wigs in anime make me laugh. I don't know why.
We're doing a one shot, like, so it's obviously going to be semi-serious, but at the same time we're doing a Dad's Anime Stash one shot.
Right.
It's supposed to be full of just pure shenanigans and things that are stupid. So like minions being like the classic anime weeb guy, or like
your rating was terrible.
Or just like the guy in the back of the room that has like the giant eyes for no reason and is constantly just like jutting off to stare, like, because like one of my favorite things to do is to like make monsters with like Griffith's Monster Maker and like just make really obscure stuff. So like you want to give them like, just if we want to do it that route too, like I feel like you can just give them really obnoxious classic anime minions of just like anime girl with giant tits like that is just like running around. Like you can do funny stuff and give them just like obnoxious powers, because again, we're trying to tie everything together. We don't want it to be like all D&D monsters. And
I'll say, and here's my other best DM tip for you. It can look like a demon duck. It can quack like a demon duck, but you're using the stats of a blue wormling.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's smart.
You go and you find the stat block that works for you and works for the creature with like the abilities and like the stats and everything, but you describe it however you want to, honey bun.
Yeah, exactly. Like the players don't know. They don't know what what's happening. Like they just know that this thing has weird abilities and like I don't know. I'm trying to think of like ones off the top of my head, but I'm struggling.
How many times have I faked you out, Brooke, with some monster, and you're like,
so many times, because Ash uses, and this is good, and I think, okay, so first I think that I'm pretty good about keeping my player knowledge and my character knowledge separate. In fact, one of the folks we play with, Kiri, she often will like turn her head and look at me and go like, "You didn't know that?" I'm like, "Brooke knew it, but the character didn't know it, right?" But Ash has this way, I think, because we're kind of on the same vibe sometimes. Ash has this way of giving me just enough info that then Brooke goes, "Oh, meta, I know it's this monster," and then it's not. So I'm prepping all these things to take care of monster A, and Ash has reskinned it so that it's monster B, right?
Yeah.
And it's great. It's fantastic. And Ash, I think the other thing that maybe you were saying is that it saves the DM a lot of work because you don't have to create this brand new thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you can spend more time on like creating unique abilities and then just port over stats.
Sure.
Yeah. And then also if any of your villain or enemy characters are spellcasters, and you use a stat block for that, please give them better spells. They have such bad spells.
They normally always do.
Yeah.
That's why I've
There's
been
so much
looking.
more effective spells than what they come like pre-equipped with that could get the job done better.
Yeah, and I think like I'd want to just do like fun anime stuff where like if they got like, just as an example, like a DBZ thing, one thing would be like power up, and it would be like all players must allow the villain to spend the next 2 turns powering up and talking, and then there's like the next 2 turns the players can do nothing but talk to the villain, as the villain's just powering up. Like, because that's just one of his abilities.
It is the thing that happens.
Yeah, like, congratulations, guys! You get to spend two turns talking to this guy while he gets stronger. Nothing we can do. Nope. Welcome to anime.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna sit out, play cards, and wait on them.
I think it'd be fun, like, if we just poke fun at the things in anime that never make any sense in a D&D way.
Oh, that'd be
Go
great.
get your trope list and then
Yes.
just
Yeah.
go down it and be
Yeah.
like, okay, what do we want to make fun of?
Yeah, and just find the things that like never make any sense. Like, if, like, for example, if they're going to Digimon first, poke fun at the fact that there's no way in hell that these creatures with all this power are going to listen to a 12-year-old who's just showing up on their doorstep, who they don't know who the hell you are.
Done come from?
Yeah, like, we can tease a thing like as they're being narrated that, like, you know, there's some name, and so they get there and they're like, oh, we're these people, and the Digimon are just like, no, you're fucking not. Like, who the hell are you? Like, fuck off. And like, just like things like that. I think it would be fun if we poke fun at it and just like,
or the Digimon, you know, is thinking to itself, it's a human. Oh my gosh, I better be doing what, you know, and because kind of like in Monsters Inc-esque, where they're totally terrified of the power of the human, you know. So, anyway.
Yeah, and just poke I think or like another fun trope to find out is like if they go into some world where it's like advanced technology. In every anime, the character always knows how to use it perfectly, even though they've had no training in this stuff whatsoever. Put the players in that, and then when they're like, all right, what do I do? And you're just like, dude, I don't know. Your character knows nothing about this. What do you want me to do? like your character sits in front of the computer.
robot.
Yeah.
Roll
Should I roll for something? No, it doesn't matter what you roll. You've never seen this technology before. Your character has zero knowledge on what to do. I would suggest you just start pressing buttons. And they're like have a list of like prepared things that happen if they do certain things, and be like, all right, like, I think like that will be a fun way to go about it, to where like, because everyone who's going to be playing, whether they play D&D or not, are going to be an anime fan. So let's give them what they want, which is making fun of things in anime.
And now they're back to Connor's wild magic table, right? For everybody
exactly.
push, like something happens, you know, like
The mechs are the ones that cast wild magic.
I just imagine
That's
like
cool.
it going off this side adventure, and you're like, okay, so you broke into the base, you stole the Gundam. What now? You don't know how to fly the thing.
Yeah, you don't know how to turn it on. Where's the power button? Like, can I roll to see if I can find it? Good luck. You don't know what to look for.
Yeah.
my older brother's been playing Flight Simulator. Can I try? You know.
Yeah.
I've been watching
Makes
him.
sense,
Can I try to make a roll?
Or like that's just the controls. They just like go in and it's like, all right, you go control, and this looks exactly like Flight Simulator. Roll to see how much you remember from playing with your brother.
Still runs Microsoft 98.
It's just MS DOS.
I'm gonna go old school 80s now. You know, would you like to play a nice game of chess? You know.
Yes.
So,
It's just
on the good one.
it's just Oregon Trail, just text based.
Yeah.
It's just
At some point, they play a game of Minesweeper.
yeah.
However, you played that
Only the
game.
bombs are a mustache that then has to jump on your face if you don't. Make it
Yeah.
A la Alien style.
That would be a fun like mini game to give them though. Would like legit just give them Minesweeper
Yes.
as
With
a
the
mini
knowledge
game
that
to
no
like
one
get
knows
through
how to play
something.
Minesweeper, not even the DM.
Yeah.
That's cool.
See, and essentially, if you're listening, this is essentially why you do pre-session zeros, is because you start off with one idea that you think is originally like your solid plan, like this makes sense, it'll work, and then someone says something in session zero, and you're like, shit,
Oh, no.
that's so much better than what I was thinking.
This is why you gather people and spitball, at least like the general topic.
Right.
You have some secrets just as a DM
Yeah,
that you
because
can flesh out once you
Justin,
have more information.
me and you never thought of making. Me and you originally were just like, we'll put them in a different world and we'll just run it like D&D. And now
Yeah.
we've switched to like, all right, let's have them do that, but in the style of making fun of anime tropes.
Yeah. Oh well, I've been texting you for the past week because I'm impatient. I was like, forget it. Let's just start it. Forget session 0. It's irrelevant. I've got a whole thing of notes now. I don't know if you could see it about what we can do different.
It'll
You
make,
gotta
you
have
know,
those session zeros.
You have to have session
know.
0.
Oh.
Unless you have a very, very experienced group who you can just very quickly say what's gonna how things are gonna go in the first 30 minutes. You have to do session 0 because unless it's, like I said, not only an experienced group, but it's a group that you've played with repeatedly, so you kind of just trust that everyone's gonna take your judgment into best case. But obviously we don't have that. We're playing with people who, for the most part, we've either A, never met, or B, have met once. They don't know, and they don't know us as players, and they don't know me as a DM. Yeah. So they're gonna have things that they like. Now, mind you, it's a one shot. Most people who have played D&D understand that even if they love combat, they kind of know full well going into it. It's a one shot. I'll be lucky if I get 2 encounters tops, just for time's sake. But again, you do the session 0, so you tell them that, hey, who here likes combat the most? All right, are you good with the fact that this is a one-shot? You might get 2 tops, 3, depending on what you guys do. And as long as they're cool with it, they're prepared ahead of time, so they don't, 2 hours into the session, they're like, Jesus, we had 1 easy combat and nothing's happened since. When are we going to get combat? But if they know going into it that there's going to be 1 or 2 more, they're able to stay immersed and they don't get bored.
You bet.
And then also, the faster that they can actually learn what their character does and have, once you get into action sequences, exactly what their character is going to do, and then a plan B if that kind of gets derailed by someone else going first in the initiative. The more streamlined it will be, because you're not having to do all those pauses, especially if you do this live or something like that. It's hold on. And those moments are fine, but sometimes they do take a while, and that can cut into the time that you're wanting to record.
Okay.
It's just making sure that everybody knows their character, everybody knows what their character can do, and that something straight out of left field, they know what their character is going to do in a given situation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you could even pre-plan so in most cases, what's 1, 2, 3, what are the first things that my pizza? That's great, Connor. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. The more you tell them ahead of time, the easier it's going to make everything flow.
Yeah. You bet.
Yeah, I mean, I do like introducing for this one. I like introducing. I like the one shot. That way we see, is it successful? Is it something we want to continue with? I do like introducing the bad guy. I just don't know if they should beat the main bad guy right off the gate in case we do want to make this a full-blown campaign.
So you can always do, in one-shots that you end up realizing you want to turn into a campaign, you can literally just have the initial plan of the guy being the end boss, and when it comes into a full campaign, it turns out he's just a minion who really has no idea of the grand scope of the plan. So
what if we play the bad guys?
Gone.
Yeah.
Hey, what if we play the bad guys as the one shot, and our goal is to put the mustache on someone?
Evil campaign. I love it.
Evil campaigns are pretty fun.
Mustache turn an evil person good. Or does it only work one way?
I kind of like the mustache being evil because then us as a show are the bad guys all along. I kind of feel like that's who we are.
Yeah, I mean, if you listen to any of our episodes, it's pretty clear we're terrible people.
Which, could play into the idea of showing in a loving fandom type of way, showing the ridiculousness of some of the tropes, right? Like they are in there breaking it, by saying, what is that? So
yeah,
that's not a bad idea too.
I think it's a good idea. And again, it gives us a lot of ways to go about it.
Yeah, if you want to do a villain party, instead of the mustaches turning the main character evil, you could make the mustaches turn the main villain good. And people who are villain, the party is trying to get them to become back into villains or something like that.
There you go.
Okay.
And it just kind of depends on like how exactly you're wanting to do it. If you want to do it more standard, the party is the heroes, or if the party are the villains. So, and again, that's also something you need a session.
Well, yeah, I think maybe to combine, like, so Justin, for example, like if the idea is like, let's say this goes really well and people like it, and we're like, all right, let's turn this into, you know, a podcast or whatever. You can do the one shot as the party being evil, and then the campaign is the new party trying to undo the damage from the one shot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You let the patrons come on and
just screw it all up, and then
you like to combine it, you could like have the final culmination of the campaign be the first party takes on the new party, and like this evil people from the first one shot taking on the heroes who have been trying to undo all the damage that the first party caused, and then whoever wins is the new shape of the world, and then obviously your campaign's over, but you do like a Knights of the Old Republic ending where one is the evil party winning and the world's pure chaos, or one is the party who's been working all this time in the campaign gets to succeed and they save the world.
Yeah.
Okay.
A cool way to do that, like towards the end of the campaign, is keep the character sheets for the original villains, and then when it comes to when the players go to play them, like swap character sheets. So someone will still be acting as like John Smith, but someone else will roll their stats for them. So they can't just be like, oh yeah, I didn't kill my new character that I fleshed out more so than the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I like
that's
that.
a good idea. That's a good idea.
And so like they're still able to act as that first character, but they're not getting to decide what the dice do.
Right. Yeah.
So they can't. Yeah. It gives them less incentive to fudge the dice.
Yes.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Because
no one does that.
The DM.
No one fudges dice. I didn't just roll 4 2s on my stat block.
For the bad guys, yeah. And in both worlds, Sandira Demon can be in a wig, right? We can,
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Great.
That's mandatory at this point.
Well, yeah, it's mustaches and wigs and evil goatees or
bad anime tropes. I like it.
There's so many. Again, like I think it gives us a lot of leeway to do fun stuff if the basis for stuff is making fun. I mean, again, we can see how it works in the one shot, but at least in the one shot, I think using it to poke fun at anime tropes is. The guy who, like, for example, I'm watching, like, Yawamushi Pedal right now, which Justin knows, which is a great sports anime. It's fantastic. But it centers around a guy who literally has done nothing but ride a basic bike just far distances. But that's it. And he's now, like, this ace bike rider who's, like, blowing all these guys. Like, they're like, how can you do all these things? And... It's that idea of like just anime characters who just literally have no training in something, beating people who have been training for like 20 years at it, just because it's the main protagonist. And I think if we do like the opposite, where you just make the players think that like, hey, because you're the protagonists and it's anime, you guys are gonna run like roughshod through this like obstacle or through this thing, and then they go to it and they're like, all right, what do I do? And you're just, as a DM, you're like, dude, I don't know, like you've never played this game before, you don't know the rules, I have nothing I can tell you. I wish you the best of luck in what's about to happen.
I just imagine Golden Boy all over again.
Golden Boy, it was the perfect example of an anime that literally took that concept and just poked fun at it for 6 episodes.
If you haven't seen it, it's on YouTube. It's 6 episodes, like a good 3 hours. It's fantastic.
Just ignore the toilet hugging.
Yeah, a bit much of that, but
there's a lot of toilet hugging. There's a lot. But I think
in the one shot, I'm wanting toilet hugging. Like
100%.
That's my goal. Yeah, that's a goal.
No, I really think so. So I think
if
we
only
said
he
start
had a
off
girlfriend to hold his hair.
Yeah. But you just had to roll a 1, and it ruined the friendship forever.
Pulled off the
You'll never
wig.
be
And
BFFs.
Tina Marie never recovered from that. Yeah, just rips the wig off. Just have another character come in with a mustache on. None of it makes sense.
Yeah, it's one of those tattoos people would get.
Yeah, it's not even it's not even a real mustache that made him evil. It was just something that they drew on their hand, but they just never washed it off. And then the final thing is they just washed their hands at the end of the one shot, and they're like, "Wait a minute, what have I been doing all this time?"
they Bowsered him the whole time. Fake villain, haha.
That's too real to the Neon Club stamps. That then later you're like,
that's true. Yeah, that is true. Oh man,
that's
I think
great brainstorming, guys.
Yeah, I think the people listening, this is literally why you do one shots, because half of it you're not going to use because it was stupid and makes no sense, but it's the hilarity of giving the party a chance to just say the most obnoxious things that they can think of that even they know full well, like, there's no way they're going to take this into account and put it in the campaign, but it's fun for them to, like, just say it, and then they get more invested in wanting to play in the actual one-shot or the campaign because they got to just goof off with a bunch of their ideas. And like I said, some of them end up having really good ideas that you do incorporate into stuff. And like you don't have to like tell them specifically, obviously, because you don't want to ruin it. But you can tell the party some of your ideas have made it into this one shot or something like that, which even makes them more excited because now they want to find out whose idea was it, how is it being used, what did you do to it, like, because they know it. You're a DM. You're going to take their lovely idea that they created and you're going to just butcher it and stab it in the back with a knife. So they know it's still their idea, but you just...
What are you talking about?
You just ruined it. Like, they gave you this, like, nice, bright idea, and you just, like, fucking stabbed it, Michael Myers style. And you're like, thanks for the idea, man. Really, like, the best thing to do is to take a really good idea that someone gave you and turn it around to bite them in the ass.
Break the cutie, my favorite trope.
Yeah, essentially, yeah.
And sometimes biting them in the ass can be literal.
Yeah, literally, yeah. Because even though we're doing an anime D&D style thing, I will find a way to introduce a mimic.
Yeah, please.
I know. Oh. I've learned from you from the Among Us days to not trust anything ever.
I told you about that new group, right?
The new group.
It was like streamer friends that I've like gotten to know who invited me to play Among Us last week, and after 2 games, they never want me to get killer again.
No,
because I pulled a well, I didn't go as bad as you, where I convinced you that you were the killer when you on your screen said imposter or said
Mark was the killer the whole
said
time.
Crewmate. And you were like, did I kill that guy? And in my head, I was like, how did I pull this off? It literally says crewmate on your screen.
It was very good. I didn't even trust myself. It was...
This one wasn't that bad, but I got one guy who I purposely didn't kill, and I just followed him around half the time. So after every round, he was like, well, Bushido's been with me the whole time, so there's no way it's him. So we got to the end, and it was me, him, and another guy. So they called for an emergency vote, and he was like, dude, Bushido, it's got to be this other guy, because I've been with you the whole time, right? And I know it's not me, man. I swear it's not me. And I'm like, even though I knew I already had won the game, because all I had to do was vote for the other guy, I just him-hawed for 50 seconds. And was like, I don't know, man. Like, I want to believe you, but I want to believe him.
Oh, that's furious.
And they both had voted for each other, so no matter what, I was going to win. But I just literally carried it down to the last 10 seconds. And I was like, you know what? You're right, man. I've been with you the whole time. I'm going to trust you on this one. The other guy's like, this is bullshit. We're going to lose. Congratulations, guys. And then it just ended, and it was like Bushido was the imposter. And I was like, you're all dumb.
Man,
so yeah, they don't trust me anymore.
Giving me a real craving for some more Tyrants of the Underdark.
I know.
You and me playing drow houses, stabbing one another in the back just constantly.
What are you doing after this?
It is that time of the evening.
It is.
12 a.m. is a perfect time for backstabbing.
Exactly. There's no doubt. Only good things happen at 3 a.m.
Yes.
Enzo Branson, y'all.
I'll say I do have enough notes to probably carry me into like the next part of next week, but let's say we wrap this up. I do appreciate you guys coming on. Do you want to tell us where the listeners can find you?
Yeah, so we are some of the creative minds behind Red Dirt D&D, your favorite local Oklahoma actual play 5e podcast. You can find us on pretty much any of your favorite podcatchers, iTunes, Stitcher, Google, probably some other places I'm forgetting, but search us up, give us a listen. We are a Wild West inspired D&D podcast, so lots of lovely editing and sound effects. We also do a Twitch stream every Tuesday night, 6:30 p.m. Central. You can find us at twitch.tv/reddirtdnd. You can also check us out on YouTube with our show there, The Secrets of Monster Island, as well as Plausible Deniability every other Thursday.
Yeah,
there you go.
And before I forget, I just wanted to mention that I love your guys' intro song. I don't know why I do, but I just do. I put on loop going to work. Just
it's a great pump up anthem. Like a good buddy of mine wrote that for us. Cinemagician PJ Castillo. I basically just told him, I was like, okay, dude, I need the very start of like Knights of Sidonia with a little bit of like the good, the bad, and the ugly. And he was like, I'm on it. And then he came back with that like within less than 24 hours. And I was like, very PJ, nice. My man, you did it.
Yeah. It is very well, beautifully done, and surprisingly catchy. I love it.
It totally catches around the table. Like we will finish a recording. We know, okay, that's it. That's the cliffhanger, or that's the moment we're going to close on, and Ash will close us out, and then someone at the table goes, bow, bow, and we all start it just, we know Michael's going to do the real thing later, but it's so much fun. You're right, man. Justin, thanks. It's awesome.
I appreciate it. Like I said, I appreciate you guys coming on and helping us plan this thing out.
Thanks
Mark,
for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. Mark, because I'm terrible at it, you want to send us off?
Yeah, you know it. Don't forget, everyone, if you want to hear more of your dad's anime stash, make sure you stay tuned every Friday at around 10:30 Central Time for more of our shenanigans. Next week's My Hero, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. We do monthly anime quizzes now because you guys seem to freaking love those. So those are at the end of every month now. You can catch us on our Facebook or YouTube, and you can catch me on Twitch at twitch.tv/BushidoGeek. So just be very careful now to rewind this tape, put it back in the sleeve, put it back under your dad's bed, because I'm pretty sure your parents are coming home, and we'll see you next week on Dad's Anime Stash.